Well, here we have the front input shaft, and on the dual stage clutch, to put it in perspective, I suppose, this sits down over that shaft, and that's your main drive shaft. If I can get this in, that's your main drive shaft, and it comes out the centre of this PTO drive shaft here. So we'll leave that over there out of the way. Now, all this really has to do, this whole setup, is this shaft here takes drive from your PTO clutch plate and puts it through this gear here, and then that drops it down to the bottom gear on the bottom shaft, and that runs through to run your PTO. Now, all this really does, it's a control valve. You have a little arm in here, and this just pops in and out and changes where the oil is. Now you'll notice there's no detent there. The detent in a multi-power tractor is often up, it's like an over centre on the dash. So look, that's okay. I know this has had all new seals in it. The people I bought the tractor off, they'd just had the multi-power, probably 12 months before. They'd had all the new seals and all put in, and they just had the multi-power disabled because they had workers on the farm that on steep country, and they were popping it into low, and she was getting away on them down the hill. So what can you look at here? Well, the main function of this is this is the main oil supply in, as you may remember. And that's with the valve out. There's a hole right down in the centre there, and that hole lines up with this hole here, and that will lock that clutch pack up. It'll give an oil supply here once these sealing rings are in. Now, something we probably could have done with this repair, so you can see that I need another hand. See, that's turning. You lock it together, and that locks solid. So that clutch pack works okay. We know that's going to work. Now, when we put air in here, and this valve is in this position, out as far as it can go, we can feel inside, and the oil port that supplies oil to the multi-power pack here, you can feel the air coming out the holes. So when you flick the valve on the dash, all that does is pop that in. No oil there, but it's coming out here. You can feel oil pushing through this front bearing to give you a bit of lubrication. So what can we look at here? Well, that seal down in the hole, that's nice and soft. I know that's been replaced, so we're not going to replace that. There is some sealing rings in here. If you sit tight, I'll go and grab a screwdriver and we'll pop this apart. And you remember when we pulled it apart, there was a ring here, but they left that ring out or broken it or something. It just wasn't there. So we can't actually do much testing until we get these two rings. But what we can do in the meantime is we can pop this snap ring out. Look, it's as easy as popping a circlip in there, popping a circlip, popping a screwdriver in there, line it up with the gear. And there we go. We'll give him a bit of a bump on the bench. And that's it. Once more, see there's a ring missing here. Now, this ring here stops oil coming up and pressurising up the front here, and this ring here it seals the oil so it can go straight through this housing. So the oil comes in this hole here, straight through the housing into this hole here. So you have a pair of rings on the inside there, a pair of rings on the outside here, and they sit like that. So when you put oil from the control valve through, yep, you can see there's a hole there, through this hole here. It comes out that hole there, into this gap here, then it goes through that gap there, into this hole here, which is sealed by rings on both instances, and then that goes down into the clutch pack and locks that up. Now there is a replaceable front seal there and a needle bearing, a front support. That's all been done. We're not going to replace that. We're happy that that's okay. And another thing that we need to look at is on the housing inside here where the rings go, just make sure that's not overly worn or too bad. Look, that's okay. Now how you can test if it's overly worn or not is pop one of these rings off. Pop out of there. Oh, I have to get down where I can see what I'm doing. There we go. And then I often just pop my come on. I can usually just get my nails in, but my fingers are playing up today. Old and buggered. We'll just run this around. Normally I can just pop them off, but not this morning. Oh, some tension in that little fella. That's a good sign. So we hook the ring together. We make sure it's clean first. I'll be putting new rings in here anyway, but you hook the ring together and you can see there's a little gap. Actually, that's quite worn, that one. You can see there's a little gap in the centre there. Then what the idea is to pop that down into the bore where it's going to run. Find the worn patch where it will run, and you're looking that you still have a gap down the bottom. So make sure it's you can actually feel where it sits in the little low spot there, and when it's in the low spot you need to be able to see a gap in two places. One, you need to see, I think you can see that okay. You need to see a gap on the outside here, but where the two hooks go together, you need to see a little gap in there as well. So that's the ring just sitting as it is, but in the bore you want to see it like that. So you know there's plenty of tension coming on the outside here. So we need to get new rings for it, but that's no problem. Oh man. I don't believe I need to pull this apart, but look, I suppose we're here. I may as well show you. It'll probably cost me a gasket. God, you're an expensive mob to keep going. I need to find an Allen key. Hang on again. Now I went and found my Imperial little Allen keys. Maybe only half doing it, not showing you this. But it seems to be working well. And if you can pop yours apart and you can push that back and forth and air test it, and it's doing the right thing, oh, that's something. This one here, you see the oil and that on it, this one, that stops your valve going too far. When you pop him out, there's your spool. There's a little O-ring there. Look, I suppose we'll replace that. These are a little bit susceptible. I can't think of the word. They leak. There you go, Lance, having a bit of a brain fart there. Susceptible was the word I was looking for. I thought you'd help me out there, but anyway. There's a little gasket under here too, so I suppose it's worth a look. So there's your control, whoops, hang on. There's your control valve, and that decides where the oil goes, where it comes out. Then we have a little shuttle in here too, and it's a spring-loaded shuttle. Look, I'm not 100% sure what that does. I will go and have a look now, but I'm pretty sure that's just a system relief for the auxiliary pressure. So it picks the oil pressure up. It adjusts it adjusts the pressure. Well, not adjust it, it's a safety, so you can't put too much in. But look, I will go and find out about that. I haven't, I'm not real conversant with that little piece there. That gasket does look good, but anyway, we'll put another one on. Now, when we look at this sitting here, and we know if we pull it out, it puts oil into the clutch pack, and if we push it in, it doesn't. So all it does there is, you can see this gallery here, that's the gallery that pokes out and seals inside the rings here, which then in turn seals in these rings here and gives you oil supply. So if you were to pull this apart and you found this gasket like that, if you found this gasket with a tear in it, or anything like that, well, that'd be a reasonable, you could come to a reasonable conclusion that it wasn't working because of the low oil pressure. You know, it didn't have enough to lock up properly. Then when it goes the other way, it pops oil in here, and that just comes out there, and that's just lubrication oil. It comes from the pump up in through the control valve out here, and it just lubricates the front of the gearbox there. So what else can we do there? We're not going to do the seal. You can feel that's lovely and soft there, and the needle bearing's in good order. That has been done. We can find the O-ring for that. I'll have to get a few parts for this, like the sealing rings and the gasket and all that sort of thing. So that's all we can do in stripping it, really. This here, that's nice and free in the bore. I'll just put him in the vise and undo this. We may as well show you while we're here. I think I'll learn something here too. Okay, we'll move this across. Now this was really tight. I had to give it a bash with a hammer and support it down here while I bashed it. But let's undo it and see what we have. Wrong screwdriver for the job. I won't tell if you won't. Okay, we have a long spring. We'll just lay it out for our own reference. And this little valve comes out there. Oh, that's interesting. There's a little bleed valve here, and it's got a split pin in it, so it can't be blocked up with a bit of swarth. So that's it. Oh, there's a bit of black in there, probably lucky we did pull it apart. Okay, that's it for that part. We have a few parts to find, a few sealing rings, a gasket, an O-ring for the control valve, and probably a copper washer for the relief valve. So that'll be it for pulling it apart. If I find anything else, I'll just tack it on the end.